about to cause a scene. There's nothing like you've seen. Everything ain't what it seems. Whoa, 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 whoa. Them man never been ready for the chaos. I stay ready, never take day off. Train for the action, it's payoff. Deliver that straight, no mailbox.
All right, coming to you live from the Sales Center at the new Alden's Reach development in Manomet. Here's Greg Simoneau.
Flashes, bangs, crashes. Ayo, pass me the matches. Let's bring it to ashes.
Woo, hello. Thank you. All right, thanks to the local scene for having me. Thanks, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. All right, thanks to Dan in the booth for helping out. Yes. All right, let's get it. So there's 365 days in a year, 300 bad days, 65 good days. And we are using 60 of them right now here in summer. And the other 5, well, they're just randomly scattered about. And right now, we are in the middle of those good days. Great. You know, summer vacation for me used to be 2 big ideas, the pond and wiffle ball. And now I just hope to clean the basement and go in the pool, and the summer will be a success. It's true, that's all I want to do. And if I was head chef of everybody's garage and basement, I'd fire everything right now. Fire the boats, fire the jet skis, golf clubs, pails, shovels, bathing suits, fire everything. Everything that hangs around all year long, hoping to be used someday, needs to be used now. Now's the time, people, so you better go out and do it. Yeah, mowing the lawn. Not sure how much mowing the lawn we did as kids. You know, my dad used to love to mow the lawn. He'd love to threaten to mow over any toys you left in the lawn, too. He'd mow right over them. You better pick up those toys. I'll mow right over them. You better get out there. I'm gonna mow. Can you do my yard next? That's always a good joke if you see anyone out mowing. Oh, no. Randy Macho Man has a huge head injury. This is not good. Yeah. It's so hot this summer, though. The pilgrims are growing popcorn. They just skipped it. They just went right to popcorn. It's so hot, the outdoor movies are now inside, near a window, though. That's good. We need that ventilation. Side note, is the Pirates of the Caribbean a summer movie? I don't know. What do you think the pilgrims would think of that? They'd be, what is this black magic? This summer, I'm trying to have like a retro summer. I'm trying to record stuff like the summer of old by winding old VHS and cassette tapes. It's a summer tradition. Some people watch movies and listen to music. I wind movies and wind old music. I wind them. I wind tapes. Some people wine and dine each other. I wind and dine people. That could have so many different meanings. Yeah. Some of the video equipment and cassette players I haven't used in 20 years. You know, they've had a 20-year rest. I like to have my stuff take a deep 20-year naps in between uses. It's recommended. If you can do it. Yeah. I had this weird dream the other day. I was in an 1800s bedroom. Everything was caked with dust, you know, stuffed animals, furniture, caked with 3 inches of dust. Is that appropriate for the time period? I'm not sure. Then a nasty zombie attacks me, you know, and it's all bones. That zombie was like a $5 KFC meal deal, all bones, you know, and I easily defeated the zombie. But my lungs hurt from the breathing in all that dust. Never mind the zombie attack. What about those dust mites? Yeah. That got me thinking, what was the first stuffed animal? Did the Indians make it? Here in Plymouth, we immediately go back to the Indians, right? Did the Indians stuff leather? I don't know. Were stuffed animals invented by Ebenezer Build-A-Bear? I don't know. Who did it? Did the caveman use real animals and make the first stuffed animals, you know? Did the toys start to stink immediately after getting them? Oh, gross, you know. And what did they fill them with? Did the stuffies smell like dead leaves? Yeah. And did that give them the idea to kill a bear and wear it? Sometimes you see a caveman like that, you know? And did a caveman ever die because another caveman thought he was a real bear and attacked him? You know? Kind of like Captain Crunch, oops, all berries. Oops, all caveman inside. Look, he has berries. Not a total loss. How did they clean their bear costumes? Because you really can't clean a bearskin rug. You can, but not really. You know, not without expensive measures. You know, I just see a lot of diseases coming out of this. You know, hello diphtheria. You know what I mean? It's like that song Hysteria, but diphtheria. Did any caveman wear a dinosaur costume, you know? And did he get laid more or less because of this dinosaur costume, you know? Did the cave women think, oh, that's kind of dorky, you know? Look at that dinosaur over there. That's kind of dorky. Yeah. But summertime as kids, still a little foggy on what we ate, you know? Cereal, fast food, then a sensible dinner. I'm not sure. Fast food was a lot cheaper back then, you know? $14 bought the first round. Hey, all right. We weren't making breakfast, that's for sure. Someone had to be watching if you're going to use the stove. Oh, no! The stove! Don't touch the stove! Who turned on the stove? Was it you? Our family store, where we all had summer jobs, it had a coffee pot, you know? First thing we'd grab was the sugar cubes. Yeah. We'd make fun of each other, you know? Don't talk to me until I had my morning Java. Okay, Justin. Yeah. I remember this was a huge development when Dunkin' Donuts first started having bagels. Yeah. Back then, the bagel had a good amount of bagel to it, you know? Now you get a smushed ring of bagel. That's all you get. It's like this big. And the cream cheese is smaller. Everything has been skimped. We skimped on everything. Skimped. And I love hearing this when I go there. We're out of that. That's why I go outside. I leave my house. I walk in there after driving there. That's what I love to hear. We're out of that. Or this. No mobile ordering because we can't block out what we're out of. It's real nice. So instead of a coolada, it's a we're out of. How's your vanilla bean we're out of? I don't know. It's not existent. Yeah. Their bagels are crap. They're crap bagels, okay? That's what the sign should say. Crap bagels, $1.49. Crap cheese, 99 cents. Crap knife to put on crap cheese on a crap bagel, free. But we're out of that. And that's how you crap on someone. So summer, you know, we go canoeing. Every minute of it is work. You forget about that, you know? The whole river, the whole complimentary map, the whole thing is constant decisions. Where to go, where to stop, where to pass another canoe, you know? When to drink, when to eat, shit, piss, sleep. Where's the water taking us, though? Where, though? Where is the water taking us? Is it too shallow over there? Okay. Now I'm paddling in sand. This is the vacation I wanted right here. This is what I signed up for, right? No. Work out your arms, though. The McDonald's stop at the beginning, before canoeing, was when I last was happy, all right? Everything after that, we'd always stop at the McDonald's, and I'd get an Egg McMuffin, and I'd take a picture with the Egg McMuffin, half hanging out of my mouth. Like that. Like the zombie from my dream. Always wanted that. So. And then we'd go to the canoe place, and the canoe guy, you know, he'd have to give his spiel, and this was me. Yep. Spiel. Spiel. More spiel. Spiel. Yep. Oh, there's a river? Oh, okay. And then he'd underline the dam. Yeah, you know, here's the dam. Yeah, we carried our stuff by the dam before. Yeah. Spiel, 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 spiel. Sometimes there's a squirrel over there. Oh, okay. And an owl lives over there. Oh, who? So looking back, I can't believe they let us 19-year-olds rent canoes. You know, they trusted us. If a 19-year-old asked me to rent a canoe for me nowadays, I'd be like, yeah, right. Take a hike. There's actually a nice hiking trail around the river. It's actually preferable. You get to save yourself a lot of time. You'll enjoy it more, you know. Yeah, and once you're out there, you know, you get going. You're a couple meals, snacks deep. You know, you have to start arranging the trash boat. Yeah, we used to bring an inflatable raft and put like 2 to 3 bags of trash in it. We carried our trash with us. Trash boat, trash barge, down the river, you know, flies and all. And no, it did not qualify for barge status. Flies. Flies. You don't really think of flies out in nature, but they are. They're hovering over the trash boat. And trash boat smells. Yeah. Most of the camp trash for us was Twinkie boxes and meat juice. Yeah, it was real gross. I think this is going to be the name of this comedy album. Comedy album. It's just meat juice. That's what it's going to be called. We cook out burgers and dogs, and man, that meat juice container is so gross. You could burn some of it in the fire, you know, but you really shouldn't burn styrofoam. I've always been taught that. So there wasn't much recycling going on in the 80s and 90s. And at the end of the river, you were done. They had dumpsters there, okay? And I'm not sure if they staggered the end times of everyone's trips. You know, I'm not sure if they had the moves like stagger. And the dumpsters were overflowing with all kinds of meat juice. But we're far from done with this trip. So we all start the trip out wearing camo. You know, why were we wearing camo? Who thought that was cool, you know? Well, it was New Hampshire. It's like we were still playing 12. Like it was still like we were 12 playing Army in the woods. Can you steal valor if you're only 12 years old? I don't know. But we were 19. So we were like 7-year-old Army veterans. We'd done a few tours together. And now our biggest adventure together was this. We were like the A team. You know, if we could have chucked grenades all along the riverbanks, I think we would have. You see that? That was cool. You know, if we could have cleared out a campsite with a machine gun, I think we would have. All right, put your tent over here. This is clear over here. You need a little more over there. I think we would have done that. We were ready for that. And I think one of us was wearing a sash of bullets, you know, very Rambo-esque. First Blood, Part 1. I would wear my dad's old Army hat, you know. That hat had literally been to Vietnam and back. And I'd wear it canoeing, you know. The only thing they let him keep, the only thing he was allowed to bring back, besides his dog Bro and any Vietnamese women they were serious about, you know. And any trauma, PTSDs they had. I would go and grab that hat out of his closet so fast. Okay, I'm ready for my canoe trip. And multiple times he'd ask me, over multiple years, over multiple trips, he'd say, "Where's my hat?" He was always like that. "Where's my tools? Where's my hat? Where's my truck?" You know? If we could have borrowed his manhood, I think we would have, you know? "Where's my dick? God damn it, you kids. God damn it." We'd always use his tools to build tree forts, you know, forts in the woods. And then I can still picture that hammer he had laying on the ground in the forest, telling him it's in the woods, going back and not finding it, sorry. That was our work site, you know. I didn't want to be bringing tools back and forth to every job site every day. And dude owned a hardware store. He'll get a new hammer. Maybe on Father's Day. Oh, my hammer. What? That's not your hammer. That's your dick. Same thing. But, yeah, canoeing was hard work, though, you know. I have never been back since my last trip, a long time ago. I loathe the day that I decide that it's been long enough and time to go canoeing again. I loathe the day I decide that. The damn. But overall, it was nice. It was nice to be away from our parents. It was nice to be away from the rents. I bet they enjoyed that free time without us around, you know? If we bothered to tell them we were going, you know? They probably could have enjoyed it more instead of worrying about us the whole time. Yeah. My one regret, though, is that we didn't use sunscreen enough, mostly on my lips. My lips hurt so bad. I went back to making pizzas and near that hot oven. Man, that stung. I had Pizza Hut lips, you know? I made my canoeing plans around the days off I had from Pizza Hut. I had Pizza Hut canoe plans. Don't ask me about my sponsors. Don't worry about it. I came back sunburnt, like a well-done pizza. My lips were like the tomatoes on a margarita pizza. The kids there, they would call me Hot Lips, but not because of that. Lips versus Hot Oven. Hot Oven won every time. And I stocked up on Banana Boat. Where's my Banana Boat? Sure, that pizza's ready. Just let me get my Banana Boat. Oh. Sweet reprieve. Hey, you've already taken your 15 minutes. My friends also worked at Pizza Hut, and we checked the schedule. We can squeeze in a canoe trip. I can take Wednesday off, and bam, we're all going. I only have 20 hours this week. There's no squeezing in canoe trips now. I'm booked Monday through Friday on purpose. I'd go again, but I need like a year's notice, you know. Definitely bring me some chapstick. My boat would be called the Banana Boat. I'd hand out complimentary Banana Boat lip stuff, you know. Don't worry about my sponsors. We'd all be wearing, banana hammocks. You know, we'd be blasting, "It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Banana Boat." And the other canoes would definitely clear a path for us. We'd be throwing handfuls of glitter for no reason, you know. Handfuls of glitter were appropriate for this time period, the party age, just so we're clear. I was also thinking beers on the river, you know? I think that might be a draw for me, cracking a cold one, that noise echoing down the river. Bush, the mountains are calling. Okay, now I'm just doing it to get sponsors. I'm selling a lifestyle through comedy. It's 1995. We're all between 19 and 21, wearing camo, Banana Boat. We work at Pizza Hut. The summer promotion is a Nerf baseball bat with Mo Vaughn and Randy Johnson on it. The big unit. Are you with me? And what did we drink, you know? 2-liter Cokes? Gallon of water? I don't know. That was a go-to at the time. Chugging from a gallon of water, you know? We'd stop and get groceries. And when we got up there, it'd be like mostly 2 carriages filled with Twinkies, you know, and the sort. Items on par with Twinkies. Nobody calls them that. Don't. Our grocery store purchase would be like $500 for like 3 days. We all threw $100 or so, and we'd be done with it, you know. But we could have went on a nice vacation if we had really thought about costs instead of struggling canoeing. Yeah, and firewood. We would buy some firewood, bag of kindling. It was cheap enough, you know. Sometimes we would get away without paying for it, you know. It just happened. We would also burn stuff we found on the river, you know, like old stuffed animals and such. Wait, maybe that's why that zombie haunts my dreams. And bug spray. The bugs were bad. clouds of bugs, swarms. Swarms would come in, we'd fight those, spray them. Then the next wave would come, more chemicals. It was kind of like that zombie battle in my dream. They just kept coming, waves after waves. Yeah, but bugs on the river were definitely appropriate for this time period. So I'd get so mad at the bugs. I'd say, "Get the machine gun. You in the bullet sash, get over here." And that's how we took care of those bugs. And the mosquitoes, they drew first blood. Part 2. Is it part 2 or is it part 2? Is it French? I don't know. And film, back then we had to plan for film. We had like 24, maybe 48 pictures we could take on this trip. Use sparingly. It's amazing we have any photographic evidence of these trips, but we do. Overexposure, underexposure, northern exposure. The truth is out there, my friends. And it's in an old photo album in the cellar. And the length of the trip, the canoe trips could be 3 days, could be 5 days, could be 7 days. 7 days if you wanted to quit your job, you know. And some of us did. Hey, we held this summer job down until July. Now it's our time, you know. I'm not going to be working at Pizza Hut or Ace Hardware for the rest of my life. What do I care? Luckily, they took us back. They always do. But summer has changed, you know. Wiffle ball, golf. You would just go and do that stuff. B-ball. If I was on the onset basketball courts, I feel like the people there were getting a treat, a show. My ball movement, creativity, Larry Bird-esque. This is what I'd say to them. I'd say, ball in, you know. Now if I went down there, I feel like they'd just be putting up with me, you know. Like I put up with that zombie in my dreams. You ever have cooling towels, you know? You wet them, you put them around your neck. It's getting hot out there. We're going to need these. They say that the neck is the key to cooling you off. Okay. But I don't like the look, you know? I don't like the scarfy look. I'll use one if I'm dying, you know? But other than that, I just don't like the look. I'm not a big scarf guy, man. And to me, the wet neck cooling towel is the scarf of summer, you know? I would only keep it on if someone said I look like Jackie Onassis. That's the only way I'm going to keep wearing it. Let's not forget about SummerSlam. I always intend on wrapping up my summer with WWE SummerSlam. You know, I want fireworks at the beginning and the end of summer. And the only way to ensure that is to watch wrestling every week in the summer to catch up on the storylines so you get that sweet, sweet SummerSlam payoff at the end. You know, we were into big sweaty men back then, you know. We still are. And it's like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, did you see? He gave him the SummerSlam. Yeah, and that's how you do it. I'd get a brand new blank VHS tape and record it. And then I'd wind it back up. I'd wind it. And during the summer, one big question would always loom. What will happen to our wiffle ball league? You know, school would come around. We'd play a little after school, but slowly it would just go away. We never really got around to a playoffs or a finality to the season. Still haunts me. In this pond, we used to bike ride to a pond 7 miles from my house. We'd be like 6 or 7 kids on bikes holding up traffic just to get a swim in, you know. You'd hear news reports on the radio. There's traffic building up by the pond area. That's us. We made the news. We had a pond in our neighborhood, but everyone kept saying that there was a sunken car in the middle, and nobody liked that. Yeah. A sunken car gave us all a major ick, you know, so we didn't use it. We finally got to this good pond. I remember all the people there were thinking it was their pond, you know. Then we drive our bikes 7 miles back, and if we were refreshed, it probably didn't last. And what did we do for food? Not sure. But there were more general, you know, stores around than there are now. Every couple streets there'd be a general store. They've kind of turned into people's homes now. But back then, a drink and a bag of chips and you were on your way. I remember they slowly turned into people's homes. remember last time going in there to make photocopies. People were watching TV over here, playing board games over there. One dude was carving a turkey, you know. It was almost to the point where it was uncomfortable for both of us. And I was like, I'm just going to make some copies. You know, and they were like, we're out of that. And sometimes when we were playing a game, you know, someone would leave for lunch. Great. But when they were home for lunch, sometimes they would forget to come back. Hey, we need you to come back here, okay? We're a small neighborhood, you know. We had pickup games, 8-on-8, 4-on-4, 2-on-2, 1-on-1. So, like, if we lost someone to a random lunch, it hurt. I mean, we should have scheduled lunch, you know. What did we do for food? Bring us back some lunch, will you? There was talk of fudgicles. Maybe an ice cream truck will drive by. I don't know. Yeah, back to school. Sometimes in the middle of the summer, stores go back to school, sections of the stores, and everyone always had told me soon everything will be on computer. But these back to school sections, they're selling pencils and paper and notebooks. Very archaic. Is this appropriate for this time period? I'm not sure. For the computer age? Is this an accurate portrayal of 2025? How will we know? And clothes are easier to shop for now. Back then, you had to take what they give you. You know, if they didn't have your size, forget about it. And if you weren't ready for the first day of school, you'll face the consequence of the bullies. And if you didn't have something to put all your stuff in, you would just have your stuff loose on the bus next to you, you know? And people would just pick that stuff up and start throwing it around the bus. Everything needed to be tight on the bus, you know? People would grab your pencils, grab your sweatshirt, rip that, grab a boob, you know? The principal would always tell me, you really shouldn't be grabbing women's boobs. And I told him, but those are my socks. I'd always scared of what people would say first day of school, you know? That zombie in my dreams was always like, did you do the summer reading? You know? Yeah. Then the summer's winding down, but I think we'll all be ready for it. And I just wanted to let you guys know that Christmas in July is actually a good idea. So thanks. Catch me in the upcoming film, Dusty Dream 2000, starring the always glamorous Florence Pugh as the zombie. And the cranky old bus driver will be played by, you guessed it, Kingston's own Chris Cooper. Thanks, everybody.
We about to cause a scene. There's nothing like you've seen. Everything ain't what it seems. Whoa, 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 whoa. Them man never been ready for the chaos. I stay ready, never take day off. Train for the action, it's payoff.